The human ship Aurora drifted silently toward the glowing teal planet ahead. Its metal hull shimmered under the light of a distant sun. Inside the bridge, Captain Reed Lawson stood with his hands behind his back, staring at the alien world growing larger in the window. He had waited 4 long years for this moment. Today, humanity would meet the Valorian Empire face to face. "Captain, we're receiving an incoming signal," said Officer Mira Chun, her voice steady but excited. She tapped a few buttons. "The Valorians want us to land in their capital city." Reed nodded slowly. "Tell them we're on our way." His small team prepared behind him. Only 4 humans had been selected for this historic mission. Mira, his communications expert. Eli Turner, the ship's cook. Dr. Hannah Wells, a botanist. And Aaron Hale, a cultural specialist who had studied alien civilizations for half his life. "Everyone ready?" Reed asked. Eli adjusted his apron and smiled nervously. "I brought Earth food. Good food. Food that shows who we are. Bread, chocolate, roasted beans, smells that make humans feel at home." Dr. Hannah lifted a secure case. "I have Earth seeds. Tomatoes, wheat, corn. Maybe the Valorians will want to trade knowledge." Aaron looked pale. "We just need to remember, we don't know anything about their traditions yet. One wrong move could insult them." A soft rumble went through the Aurora as it landed on the Valorian platform. Through the windows, they saw hundreds of tall, silver-skinned aliens standing in neat rows. Their bodies glowed faintly, as if lit from within. At the very front stood a towering figure wearing a crown woven from luminous crystal strands. "That must be King Solarian," Aaron whispered. The human stepped down the ramp. The king stepped forward, and a small device on his chest translated his words into English. "Welcome, visitors from Earth," King Solarian said. His voice was calm, but strangely heavy. "We greet you on the world of Valoria." Captain Reed bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. We are honored to be here." The king nodded, but his expression carried a deep sadness. Reed noticed many Valorians stealing anxious glances at the young female alien standing beside the king. "This is my daughter, Princess Liara," the king said. Reed tried not to react. While every other Valorian glowed with bright silver light, the princess' skin was pale and dim, almost gray. She swayed as she stood, and 2 attendants quietly supported her. Princess Liara tried to smile. "Welcome, humans," she said softly. Even speaking seemed painful. Something was wrong with this world. The king motioned for them to follow. "Come. A feast has been prepared. There is much we must share." The humans walked through the Valorian capital. Crystal towers reached into the sky, shining like giant lanterns. But beneath the beauty, Reed sensed tension. Many Valorians they passed looked thin, weak, frightened. Inside the enormous dining hall, tables were covered in shimmering alien foods, silver fruits, glowing grains, strange leaves that sparkled like frost. The humans took their seats near the king. But Reed's attention stayed on Liara. She picked at the food but didn't take even a single bite. "Please eat," King Solarian said politely. "This is our traditional welcome meal." Eli tried a small piece of glowing fruit. "Wow, this tastes incredible." Hannah sampled a crystal vegetable. "Amazing. But, Your Majesty, these are rare, aren't they?" The king was silent for a long moment. Finally, he said, "Our world is sick." Princess Liara lifted her head. Her voice trembled. "Our food makes us weak now. But as future ruler, I must eat only sacred foods, even if they harm me." Reed felt a chill. The Valorians were starving, and the princess was dying. And the humans had just stepped into a crisis far bigger than a simple first contact mission. The feast ended with soft music and quiet conversation, but the mood inside the Valorian palace felt heavier than the crystal walls surrounding it. Captain Reed could sense it in every face. Fear, worry, a secret no one dared speak aloud. After the meal, King Solarian guided the humans through a corridor lined with glowing murals. Each mural showed the history of Valoria. Ancient rulers, great battles, great harvests. But the last few murals looked different. The colors were dull. The scenes showed fading crops and dim skies. Reed slowed down as he studied them. "Your Majesty," he said softly, "your people are suffering, aren't they?" King Solarian stopped walking. His shoulders, once tall and proud, seemed to sag under an invisible weight. "For centuries, Valoria was a world of light," he said. "Our soil was pure. Our food glowed with energy. Our bodies stayed strong. He paused. But now, our land has turned against us. Princess Liara stood a few steps behind him, her breathing weak and uneven. Her dim light flickered like a candle struggling against wind. Dr. Hannah stepped forward. Princess, how long have you been ill? Liara tried to answer, but her voice broke. One of the attendants spoke instead. 2 years. The sacred foods drain her instead of nourishing her. Captain Reed exchanged a look with Mira. This wasn't just a sickness. This was a full planetary crisis. King Solarian motioned toward a side chamber. Please, come inside. There is something I must show you. The chamber lights flickered on, revealing trays of Valorian crops, grains, fruits, leaves. Some glowed faintly, but most were darkened, wilted, or covered with strange crystalline spots. Hannah knelt beside the samples, already analyzing them with her portable scanner. Captain, these readings are bad. The soil these grew in must be full of metal toxins and volatile compounds. Earth had regions like this decades ago. Aaron stepped closer to the king. Your Majesty, why did you invite humans here? There are older civilizations out there who know far more than us. King Solarian's eyes softened with a mix of pride and desperation. They did come, he said quietly. They all came. Species older than the stars. They promised miracles. They failed. He pointed to the dying plants. None of their techniques worked. Their solutions made our soil worse, or broke our traditions. Reed understood immediately. Valorian culture revolves around food, Reed said. Your sacred meals, your ruler's diet, your ceremonies. Changing them would be like destroying your identity. The king nodded. Our princess must eat the ancient foods. A ruler who abandons tradition abandons her right to the throne. Liara lifted her head, speaking through shallow breaths. If I eat foreign food, my people will lose faith in me. If I keep eating sacred food, I will die. Eli, the ship's cook, looked at her the way he looked at someone holding an empty bowl. Princess, you're starving because of pride. Not your pride. Your world's pride. Liara didn't argue. She simply lowered her gaze. Dr. Hannah suddenly gasped as she scanned another plant sample. Captain, look at this. Some of the plants aren't dead. They're fighting. Their roots are trying to filter out toxins. This is natural adaptation. Her voice grew excited. If we support this process, if we help the soil heal itself, we might revive their entire food chain. Aaron frowned. But that doesn't solve the cultural problem. Even if we save the crops, the princess still can't eat anything outside tradition. Eli stepped closer to the samples and whispered, maybe tradition doesn't have to change. Maybe the method does. Everyone turned toward him. What do you mean? Reed asked. Eli's eyes were sharp with a cook's instinct. Earth had poison land too. We survived by changing how we prepared food. Fermentation, heat, acid, techniques that remove toxins. He tapped one of the glowing grains. Maybe the Valorians don't need new food. They need new preparation. King Solarian stared at the cook. Are you suggesting we alter our sacred dishes? Not alter, Eli said firmly. Restore. Cook them like your ancestors did. Every culture changes over time. Maybe this one changed the wrong way. A soft tremor ran through the room as Liara steadied herself. For the first time, a faint spark returned to her dim eyes. You humans, she whispered, think differently. Perhaps that is what we need. King Solarian hesitated. His world teetered between loyalty to tradition and the survival of his daughter. Reed stepped forward. Your Majesty, let us try. Let humans help. Not by replacing your culture, but by protecting it. The king looked at his daughter. Her light flickered, but did not fade. Finally, King Solarian spoke. You have 7 days, he said. 7 days to save our future queen, or we send you back to Earth forever. Reed felt the weight of the entire world fall onto his team. The mission had just changed. They hadn't come to make peace. They had come to save a dying civilization. The next morning, the humans were called to Princess Liara's private garden, a quiet place hidden behind the palace. The sky above Valoria shimmered with soft teal clouds, but the garden itself looked tired. Plants drooped. Soil looked dull and gray. Even the glowing flowers barely shined. Princess Liara sat on a stone bench, wrapped in a long silver cloak. Her light was dimmer than yesterday. 2 royal healers stood nearby, worried and silent. Reed approached carefully. Princess, you asked for us. Liara nodded. Her voice was thin. I have thought about your offer all night. She looked directly at Eli, the cook. Many species try to help us. None succeeded. Why should humans be different? Eli didn't step back. Because we don't give up easily. And because we don't want to change you. We want to save what you already are. Liara studied him for a long moment. Then she slowly pushed herself to her feet. The healers reached for her, but she waved them away. I am the heir to the Valorian throne, she said, standing tall though her body trembled. My people have ruled this region of space for 1,000 generations. If I die, our line dies with me. She gestured to a table where strange dishes had been arranged. Some glowed faintly. Some were dark like burnt stone. A few pulsed slowly, as if alive. These, she said, are the sacred foods of Valoria. For centuries, our rulers ate only these dishes. They gave us wisdom, strength, a connection to our ancestors. Eli stepped closer. The smell hit him instantly, sour, bitter, wrong. These foods are poisoned, Eli murmured. Your soil is sick, so your crops are sick. Liara nodded. Yet I must eat them. Eating anything else would break tradition. My people would call me unworthy. Dr. Hannah leaned over the table. Princess, she asked gently, how did the food become poisonous? Do you know the cause? One of the healers answered. Mining, factories, old energy plants. Over centuries, our land took in more toxins than it could release. Even our animals became sick from eating the plants. Now everything that grows on Valoria is dangerous. Liara sank back onto the bench, exhausted. So here is your challenge, humans. Find a way to make our sacred foods safe again, without replacing them, without dishonoring our culture. If you can do this in 7 days, Valoria will welcome your kind forever. If you fail, she looked away. You must leave our world, and I will continue my duty until my body can no longer endure it. Mira clenched her fists. Reed's jaw tightened. Aaron looked sick. But Eli, quiet, gentle Eli, stepped forward confidently. We accept, he said. Princess Liara blinked in surprise. Humans were small compared to Valorians, yet Eli stood with a strength she didn't expect. Why? She asked. Because no one should die because of tradition, Eli replied softly. And because your people shouldn't lose their future queen. The princess lowered her gaze, touched for a moment, but still uncertain. After she left, Reed and his team gathered in their guest quarters. Reed spread a digital notebook across the table. We need a plan, he said. Fast. Eli placed samples of the poisonous foods in front of him. These ingredients are strong. They're not rotten. They're reacting to toxins. If we change how they're prepared, he looked at Reed, we might neutralize the danger. Hannah nodded. And I can analyze the soil. If we understand how it's changing the plants, maybe we can reverse the process. Aaron frowned. Even if we do fix it, will the Valorians accept it? They might think we're changing their culture. Reed looked at all of them. Then we must make sure they don't feel replaced. We don't give them human food. We don't give them human recipes. We help them rediscover older Valorian methods they already forgot. Aaron raised his eyebrows. Do they have older methods? I'll find out, Reed said. Aaron, talk to their historians. Search old records. Any clue helps. Hannah stood. I'll start testing the soil. If we can help the new crops grow safely, the future is saved. Eli grinned with a spark in his eyes. And I'll go to the royal kitchen. If their ancient cooking used heat, fermentation, or natural acids, I'll find a way to use it. Reed put his hand in the center of the table. 7 days. Let's save a world. One by one, his team placed their hands on his. The mission was no longer about diplomacy. It was about survival. Humanity's true strength, creativity, stubbornness, and compassion was about to be tested on a dying alien world. The following days on Valoria were filled with constant work. The humans barely slept. Each hour mattered. Each discovery could decide whether Princess Liara lived or died. Eli's first destination was the royal kitchen. The room was enormous, filled with glowing utensils, crystal pots, and long silver counters. Valorian cooks watched him with curiosity and suspicion. A senior cook approached him. Human, you wish to learn our ways? Eli nodded. Only to understand them, not to change them. The cook studied Eli's eyes, then finally motioned toward the ingredients. Then watch. Eli observed carefully. Valorian cooking was extremely simple, almost too simple. Most dishes were served raw or barely warmed. No seasoning, no fermentation, no heat strong enough to break toxins. No wonder their food remained poisonous. Eli whispered to himself, "Your ancestors must have cooked differently. Nobody survives on raw food forever." He began taking notes, measuring ingredients, smelling the aromas. The Valorian cooks watched with interest. They were not used to someone studying their methods so closely. Meanwhile, Dr. Hannah worked in the palace gardens. She dug through soil samples, scanned roots, and tested water. The more she studied, the more shocked she became. "Captain," she said during their evening meeting, "their plants are trying to save themselves." Reed raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" Hannah slid her scanner across the table. "These readings show natural detoxification. Some plants are evolving micro-root systems that absorb and break down metal toxins." Aaron leaned forward. "So their crops want to survive?" Hannah nodded. "Exactly. They just need help. Earth went through similar crises. We developed bacteria that eat harmful metals. If we introduce those bacteria here, even in small amounts, the soil could heal faster." Mira looked hopeful. "Will the Valorians allow it?" "That's the cultural problem," Aaron said quietly. "They don't want foreign help that changes their traditions." Hannah shook her head. "We wouldn't change anything. The plants remain Valorian. The food remains Valorian. We're just helping their own biology work better." Reed smiled. "That might be the key." Aaron left the meeting with a new mission: dig through Valorian history. He visited libraries filled with floating crystals and old scrolls. Palaces had carvings from thousands of years ago. Ancient stories of Valorian life filled every wall. One carving showed something surprising: large stone ovens, glowing with heat. Aaron blinked. "Wait, they used ovens." A historian nodded. 300 years ago, our rulers believed the old ways were too simple. King Galar changed everything. He declared that raw food was pure, closer to the gods. Everyone followed. Aaron felt his heart race. "So Valorians used to cook?" "Yes," the historian said. "But those methods were lost. Our people never questioned the change." Aaron rushed back to the Aurora team. "Captain, I found proof. Valorians used to use heat, fermentation, even Stone Age spices. Their sacred foods were never meant to be eaten raw." Reed grinned. "This is exactly what we needed." Eli practically grabbed Aaron by the shoulders. "If their ancestors cooked, that means we can reintroduce those old methods without breaking tradition. We're not changing their culture, we're restoring it." That night, the humans gathered again. The table was full of samples: dying plants, glowing grains, soil readings, old recipes pulled from ancient scrolls. Eli spread out his notebook. "Look at this. Their grains contain natural enzymes that activate under heat. When these activate, they neutralize toxins inside the food." Myra's eyes widened. "So their food isn't dangerous by nature. It becomes dangerous because they stopped cooking it." "Exactly," Eli said. Hannah pointed to her soil data. "And if we help the soil recover, their future crops won't be toxic at all." Reed connected the dots. "So we have a two-part solution. 1. Clean the soil, slowly but permanently. 2. Cook the sacred foods using their ancient methods, making them safe immediately." Aaron added, "And we can present it as rediscovered Valorian tradition, not a human invention." The room went silent as the team understood the weight of this realization. This wasn't only about saving Liara. If they succeeded, they would save Valoria's entire culture. The next morning, Eli returned to the royal kitchen with a strange mix of excitement and fear. It was time to attempt the first test meal. He gathered the sacred ingredients: silver grains, crystal fruits, glowing vegetables. Then he carefully applied heat, natural acids, and fermentation methods inspired by ancient Valorian carvings. When he finished, the aroma drifted through the kitchen. One Valorian cook whispered, "This smells like the festival meals of old stories." Another murmured, "My grandmother spoke of food like this." "Impossible. I thought it was myth." Eli didn't smile yet. He placed the first plate on a crystal tray. "Now," he said quietly, "we see if our work is enough to save a princess." The morning of the trial arrived faster than anyone expected. The palace halls were silent, thick with tension. Everyone knew what today meant. If the humans succeeded, Valoria might survive. If they failed, Princess Liara's dim light would fade forever. Eli stood outside the royal healing chamber, holding a crystal tray covered with silver lids. His hands shook slightly, not from fear, but from responsibility. Inside those dishes was the first safe Valorian meal made in centuries. Captain Reed placed a hand on Eli's shoulder. "You did everything right." Eli exhaled. "Let's hope it's enough." The doors opened, revealing the king, several advisors, and Princess Liara sitting in a high-backed chair. She looked worse than before. Her glow was barely visible, like a star about to burn out. Her eyes lifted. "Human cook? Is this the food you prepared?" Eli nodded. "Yes, princess. Traditional ingredients made with ancient Valorian methods, not human ones." King Solarian motioned for Eli to come forward. The entire room held its breath as Eli placed the tray before the princess. Liara stared at the dishes. "They smell different. Not like the sacred meals I know." Aaron stepped forward with ancient scrolls. "Your ancestors cooked these foods with heat and fermentation. These methods existed long before the raw food tradition. We are not changing your culture. We are restoring it." Liara's eyes widened slightly. "Ancient Valorians cooked." "Yes," Aaron said. "The raw food rule was introduced only a few hundred years ago. It was a spiritual choice, not a historical truth." The princess looked shaken. For her entire life, she believed she was upholding ancient customs. Now she learned she might be dying because of a misunderstanding in her own history. Reed knelt beside her chair. "Princess, these are still your sacred foods. They simply glow with your past again." Liara inhaled deeply, steadying herself. "Bring me the first dish." Eli uncovered the plate. A soft shimmer rose from it. Warm, glowing steam drifted into the air. Valorian advisors gasped. "It looks alive again," one whispered. Liara lifted a silver utensil. Her hand trembled. The king moved to help her, but she shook her head. "I will do this alone." She took a small bite. The room froze. Liara chewed slowly, her eyes closing as she focused on every sensation. A long, silent moment passed. Then another. Then another. Everyone waited. Finally, the princess opened her eyes. For the first time in weeks, a spark of brightness appeared inside them. "This taste," she whispered. "This taste is not foreign. It is familiar. It feels like something from the old songs." Eli stepped back in relief. "How do you feel?" the healer asked urgently. Liara looked down at her hands. Her glow flickered, then grew slightly brighter. Barely noticeable, but real. "I feel stronger," she said quietly. A wave of murmurs filled the room. Some advisors looked amazed. Others looked angry. But the king's eyes filled with tears. "Liara, my child." But the princess wasn't finished. She reached for another piece. This time, her hand was steadier. She ate it. Then another. With each bite, her light grew. Not much, but enough to bring hope crashing into the room like a sunrise. Eli nearly laughed with relief, but he held it in. This moment belonged to Valoria. King Solarian knelt beside his daughter. "Does it hurt? Do you feel dizzy?" "No," she said softly, touching her chest. "For the first time in months, it does not hurt to breathe." The room erupted, not with cheers, but with stunned disbelief. Healers scanned her quickly. Their devices glowed bright green. "The toxins are falling," one healer whispered. "They're being neutralized inside her body." Reed turned to his team. "Your soil tests and historical research, everything worked." Henna smiled shyly. "And your cooking saved her, Eli." Liara looked at the humans with new eyes, no longer with tired politeness, but with genuine respect. "You have done what no one else could," she said. "You made our sacred food safe again without changing its soul." One advisor stepped forward angrily. "This is dangerous. We cannot let aliens rewrite our traditions." Liara stood, weakly but proudly. "They did not rewrite anything. They helped us remember who we used to be." Her voice echoed through the chamber. Silence followed. Even the angry advisor had nothing more to say. King Solarian rose to his full height. "Humans of the Aurora, you have given my daughter a chance to live. For this, Valoria owes you more than words can express." Liara turned to Eli. "And I owe you my life." Eli blushed beneath the alien lights. Reed stepped forward. "Princess, this is only the beginning. We can clean your soil too. Slowly, your land will heal, and your people will be safe." Liara nodded. "Then tomorrow, we begin the work." Her eyes glowed, faint but undeniable. Valoria had witnessed a miracle, and humanity had proven, once again, why they were known across the stars for doing the impossible. 3 days passed after Princess Liara's first safe meal, and the change in Valoria was impossible to ignore. Her glow returned little by little each morning, and her steps grew steadier. The palace halls, once filled with fear, now carried a quiet hope. But hope never spreads without stirring shadows. And on Valoria, the shadows were starting to gather. Eli spent most of his time in the royal kitchen, teaching Valorian cooks how to prepare their sacred food safely. They watched him with amazement, repeating his methods, whispering among themselves as they tasted the revived flavors. One young cook said softly, "This tastes like my grandmother's stories." Eli smiled. "That means we're on the right track." But across the room, an older cook frowned. He left without a word. Eli didn't think much of it at the time. Dr. Hannah was working with a team of Valorian scientists in the palace gardens. She knelt beside a patch of struggling plants and released a small vial of earth bacteria into the soil. A Valorian scientist leaned in. "This will not change our plants into alien species, will it?" Hannah shook her head. "No. This bacteria only cleans toxins. It doesn't change anything about your crops. Your plants will stay Valorian." The scientist relaxed slightly. "Good. Our people fear losing themselves." Hannah smiled gently. "We are not here to take anything from you, only to give back what you already had." But as they worked, she noticed a group of officials whispering nearby, their eyes filled with suspicion. Aaron, meanwhile, studied the older traditions with Valorian historians. The ancient scrolls, carvings, and murals all told the same story. Valoria had once been a world of balanced farming and cooked meals. Their fall came not from weakness, but from pride and forgetting their past. One historian sighed as he rolled up a scroll. "If our people had remembered these methods sooner, perhaps we would not be dying." Aaron nodded. "But you're remembering them now. That's what matters." Still, he couldn't ignore the cold glare of a noble standing in the back of the hall, studying him like an intruder. But the real trouble began the next morning, when King Solarian summoned the humans to the throne room. His expression was tired. "Last night," the king said, "a group of nobles arrived from the outer regions. They demand an audience. They believe our traditions are being broken." Reed folded his arms. "Your Majesty, we expected resistance. Change always creates fear." The king nodded. "Yes, but this fear is old and deep. And today, you will face it." The throne room doors opened wide. A tall, stern Valorian stepped inside, followed by several nobles. His glow was strong, but cold, like sharp metal instead of warm light. Reed whispered, "Who is that?" Aaron's expression darkened. "Lord Saryan, one of the oldest nobles. Very traditional, very powerful." Lord Saryan approached the king without bowing. His eyes narrowed at the humans as if they were insects. "Your Majesty," he said, "we have heard that your daughter eats food touched by aliens. Food cooked with foreign methods. This is an insult to our ancestors." Liara stepped forward, her glow soft but firm. "These methods are not foreign. They are ancient Valorian ways." Saryan snapped, "Lies. No true Valorian would allow outsiders to influence our sacred meals." Reed stepped forward calmly. "With respect, Lord Saryan, no outsider changed anything. We only rediscovered what your own history shows." Saryan ignored him completely. He turned to the king. "If this continues, half the noble families will withdraw support from the throne. Valoria will split." A silence fell over the room. This was no longer about food. It was about survival, identity, pride, and politics. King Solarian's face tightened in pain. "My old friend, my daughter was dying." "That is fate," Saryan said coldly. "Better a queen who dies with purity than one who lives with corruption." Liara's glow flickered in anger. "I was dying because of ignorance, not purity. The humans did not change me. They saved me." Saryan raised his chin. "If you rule with alien ideas, then you are no Valorian ruler." Reed stepped between them. "She's not ruling with human ideas. She is ruling with truth, your truth." Saryan finally looked at Reed with full contempt. "You humans arrive without invitation, offer your dirty tricks, and pretend you are saviors. You think Valoria needs you." Eli, unable to stay quiet, stepped forward. "We never said you needed us. We said we wanted to help." Saryan scoffed. "Help implies weakness. Valoria is not weak." Aaron spoke firmly. "Valoria is dying, Lord Saryan. If pride matters more than survival, then you will kill your own people." A ripple went through the nobles. Some looked ashamed. Others looked furious. Saryan pointed at Liara. If you continue on this path, princess, you will be queen of a broken nation. Liara straightened, her restored glow shining brighter than it had in months. Then I will heal my nation, she said. With or without your approval. Gasps filled the room. Saryan stepped back, stunned. Then a slow, cold smile spread across his face. Very well, he said. Then let the people choose their future. He turned sharply and marched out of the throne room. Half the nobles followed him. The air felt colder after they left. King Solarian sank into his throne, exhausted. This is only the beginning. Reed nodded grimly. We expected a challenge. Liara looked at the humans with determined eyes. Good. Because Valoria will need every one of you. Her glow brightened, lighting the room with hope. But outside those crystal walls, resistance was growing. And soon, the humans would face their biggest test yet, not against toxins, but against tradition itself. Valoria had changed more in a few weeks than it had in 3 centuries. Princess Liara's glow had fully returned. Her strength had doubled. Her voice, once soft and fading, now carried through the palace halls with confidence. Valorian citizens who once whispered about her illness now cheered when they saw her. Children followed her through the streets, admiring the restored blue-silver radiance that marked her as future queen. But not everything was peaceful. Lord Saryan and his supporters continued to spread fear. They warned the people that humans would steal their identity, their culture, their power. They claimed the princess had become too human, unfit to lead. Some believed him. But more people believed their own eyes. Liara lived. And she lived because of the humans. Still, tension built each day, until King Solarian announced something no one expected. A great gathering. The largest assembly in Valorian history. Every citizen, noble, worker, scholar, soldier, anyone old enough to walk, was invited to the central plaza. Their future would be decided there. The plaza was massive, a shimmering bowl of crystal towers and glowing streets. On the day of the gathering, thousands filled it from end to end. The air was thick with energy, fear, hope, and anger all mixed together. Humans stood beside the princess on a raised platform. Reed, Mira, Hannah, and Aaron watched the crowd, feeling the weight of the moment. Eli stayed in the back, carrying a tray covered in silver lids. It was not a weapon. It was something more powerful. Food. The same dishes that had saved the princess. King Solarian stepped forward, raising both arms. People of Valoria, he said, for years, our world has suffered. Our soil died. Our crops poisoned us. We were losing hope. Whispers rippled through the crowd. The king gestured toward Liara. My daughter was dying. But humans came, not to rule us, not to change us, but to help us rediscover our past. They saved her. Gasps. Then quiet. Liara stepped forward. Her glow illuminated the entire platform. I stand before you alive, she said. Alive because ancient Valorian methods were restored, methods we forgot. Not because of humans, but because of our own history. Lord Saryan pushed through the crowd and stepped forward. You stand alive because of alien interference, he shouted. You betray our ancestors. The crowd murmured loudly. Liara faced him calmly. No, I stand alive because Valoria learned to listen again. We forgot our truth. Humans helped us remember it. Saryan raised his staff. If we accept these methods, we accept human influence. We lose our purity. Eli stepped up before Reed could stop him. For the first time, he stood face to face with Valoria's most feared noble. You keep using that word, Eli said quietly. Purity. What is purity worth if it kills your people? The plaza went silent. Even Saryan hesitated. Eli gently uncovered his tray. The aroma drifted into the crowd, warm, glowing, rich with ancient flavors. It wasn't foreign. It wasn't human. It was unmistakably Valorian. Your own food, Eli said. Made with your own history. Safe. Healthy. True. He held out a small plate towards Saryan. Try it. The challenge was impossible to ignore. The entire crowd leaned forward. Saryan's jaw tightened. He wanted to refuse. He wanted to shout. But the eyes of thousands burned into him. Reluctantly, he lifted a small piece and tasted it. He froze. For the first time, Saryan's glow flickered, not with anger, but with shock. This, he whispered. This tastes like my mother's stories. Liara nodded softly. Because it is our true tradition. Murmurs filled the plaza. People recognized the aroma. Some villagers had tasted old preserved foods and ceremonies. Some elders remembered tales of great feasts. Many cried quietly, realizing they had lost pieces of their culture without even noticing. Finally, Saryan lowered his staff. He bowed. "Princess Liara," he said, voice trembling, "I was wrong." The crowd erupted into cheers, loud, bright, powerful. Valoria chose unity. Valoria chose truth. Valoria chose life. After the gathering, the celebration began. Music echoed across the city. People danced beneath glowing lanterns. Humans shared stories with Valorians. Valorians taught humans their old songs. The festival continued long into the night. Princess Liara stood beside Reed as fireworks lit the sky. "You humans came here seeking peace," she said. "But you gave us something far greater." Reed smiled. "We just shared knowledge. You did the rest." She turned to Eli, who was now surrounded by young Valorian cooks asking endless questions. "He helped build a bridge," Liara said softly. "From our forgotten past to our new future." Nearby, Hannah was planting the first detoxifying seedlings into the soil. Aaron was teaching historians how to preserve their recovered culinary traditions. Mira recorded everything, sending messages to Earth about the success of the mission. Reed looked across the glowing city. "Valoria will be stronger than ever," he said. "Not just Valoria," Liara replied. "Earth too. Today we learned that we are not alone in our struggles. We grow together." She extended her hand to Reed. "For the first time in Valorian history, we welcome another world into our future." Reed shook her hand. "Then let's build that future together." Above them, the sky shimmered with the combined light of two civilizations. And humanity, once again, proved why the universe always underestimated them.